This Liberty Sports Update is brought to you by Beacon Credit Union. All right, now joined by Anders James, redshirt freshman from Minnesota. And I'm always curious on student athletes and their story on how they get to Liberty. Anders, tell us about yours.
So the way I got to Liberty was kind of wild. I wanted to go to a Christian school because my family was heavy on Christianity as a kid. But I honestly had no idea what Liberty was or that it was a Christian school at all. I actually knew about Snowflex up the road, and I was super huge into snowboarding, and that's a big way that I got into pole vaulting too, was the flips and stuff. And I was getting a car, I drove up, and me and my dad went there, got a tour, and I felt God call me to come here.
Did you know about Liberty before or after the trip to the Snowflex, and how did you end up here in Lynchburg? Was it because of the Snowflex in general?
Yeah, I actually was buying a car from my uncle who used to live in Waynesboro. We flew all the way out here, and I knew about Snowflex because there's a couple of Minnesota riders that used to come here and do camps. And I had no idea what Liberty was. I didn't even know it was college. I just knew about the Snowflex, came here, and my dad was like, okay, we're going to tour, and that's about it.
So tell me about getting onto this track program. You're going to be competing in the basically what is the regionals, I guess, of NCAA national meets. It's the preliminary event down in Florida. Becoming a part of this track program, take us through your story and what it took to become a member.
So obviously I didn't even know what I was doing when I came here. I called coach about a week before I got here and was like, hey, I jump like 14'4", not that great. I run like 11.5, which is not that great in the 100 either. And I was like, can I try out? And he was like, I'll just put you on the roster, and which was crazy. And I had to make 15 feet to stay on the team, which I ended up doing on the last chance. And, the whole redshirt season was kind of ups and downs a lot. I didn't progress too much, but, I learned a lot. And then coming in here, I've just really exponentially just gone up. So
did you pole vault or do track and field in high school?
Yeah, I started in freshman year. I used to do a lot of clubs in the area and stuff like that. My dad loved it, and I was kind of into it, but I was into snowboarding, so this was kind of like a way to stay in shape for that. And yeah.
Does snowboarding in any way, are there any parallels to pole vaulting, and how does one help the other?
I think the crazy aspect is huge. I mean, I used to go off of 60-foot kickers, and just the amount of adrenaline that it takes to do that, and the amount of adrenaline it takes to go onto a 16-foot pole or 15-6 pole or whatever, it's pretty similar, the rush. So
what is the most common question you get from peers on campus about, hey, I pole vault? What's the one question you always get about what does it take to pole vault, or the biggest misconception maybe about pole vaulting?
I think yes, it is crazy, but I think people get way too scared of it because there's a lot of great coaches and a lot of ways that you can do it safely, and people are along the way to help you do it safely. So it's definitely something you can pick up. I mean, it takes a long time, but it's rewarding. So.
Final thought here, Anders. You're going to be heading down to Florida here in the next couple of days to compete in the preliminary event for the pole vault and maybe make the NCAA Nationals here in a couple of weeks. So what's the training been like, and what do you think you're up against this weekend?
Training has been – we're just trying to keep my body, in shape but not hurt myself, try to do what I can do. Because I think that I've shown a lot of potential to go a lot higher than what my PR is. Hopefully it'll all click there, and it would be awesome to go to Austin, Texas, and compete there. But, what I'm up against, we've got a guy who very close to the world record, and, it would just be an honor to be able to go out there. But, it would be pretty difficult for me to do super well, but
we're proud of you nonetheless. I've always got a follow-up to the final question, and this will be my final thought here. At what point, when you stick that pole and you start going, do you know, okay, this is going to be a good jump for me or a good pole vault? And take us through When you're heading up to that line, what goes through your mind, if anything?
So mainly the first thing that happens is when I take off the ground, I can kind of feel where I've taken off, and you can kind of feel in your back because like I'll be like that if I jump too late. And you know, that drive phase when you're up off the ground into the swing is it's really crucial to know where you're at pit awareness wise, because you do not want to fall short. That is not fun. So basically what's going on in my mind is just don't get hurt. That's about it.
All right, Anders, we appreciate your time. Have fun down in Florida. Who knows, you might see you in Austin, Texas, okay?
All right, thank you.
Liberty Track and Field sending 17 athletes to the NCAA preliminary event for outdoor track and field, joined by the head coach, Brant Tolsma. First off, congratulations on the ASUN Outdoor Championships. Kind of recap that a couple of weeks ago and bringing home some more hardware.
Yeah, our women performed much like we expected them to, and even better. We started out with the women strong in the hammer throw, and then we just kind of kept pulling away as the meet went on. So we won that meet by 90 points, which was a comfortable victory. The men, we started out behind, and we caught up, and then fell behind and caught up, and there were some lead changes back and forth, and it wasn't until really that we had the 1500 didn't go the way I hoped, so I was getting really nervous. And the 100, both of those events are close together, and they both didn't go well. And then we went to the 800, and I was expecting just to get third and maybe seventh, and we went 1-2. So that was a big turnaround. And from that point, we were able to start pulling away, and I think we won the men by about 45, 46 points, something like that. So it was good.
At what point, Coach, does your adrenaline really get going on that final day of competition?
Well, I'm the one that other people don't worry as much, but I'm the one who's always communicating how we're doing, because you can't just look at the score. If another school is very strong in the last 4 events, you better have enough lead that you're going to hold on. So I'm the one that's watching all that, and I keep the other coaches posted on how it's going, and as they talk to their athletes. And once it's in the bag, then it's easier to relax and just kind of let things go the way they do. But when it's still on it's not determined. We're trying to pump everybody up to get their absolute best performance out of them. I don't know what's better. I don't know if it's better to have some pressure or to be able to relax, because a lot of times in track and field, you can't make things happen. You have to let them happen. And when you try too hard to make them happen, it doesn't go well. So, it was a fun meet. Kennesaw State has a good team, and they were the ones battling us. They have a good across-the-board team. There's other good athletes, but none of the other schools have everything covered as much as us in Kennesaw State.
We mentioned 17 athletes going to be heading back down to UNF, same complex you were at just a couple of weeks ago. Advantageous to just being on that same grounds, if you will, during the outdoor meet?
Well, definitely. There'll be a different atmosphere because there'll be so many more teams there, and you'll see all the SEC and ACC schools that are in the Eastern region, and so there'll be more hype associated with it. But having the same facility will, I think, help keep our athletes a little more relaxed and like, oh yeah, I just ran on here 2 weeks ago. And conference meets in track and field don't seem there's not that much hype because there's only 6-7 teams there, or 5 or 6, and so it's not crowded, and they're trying to develop hype, but it seems a little bit almost like practice sometimes. So this will definitely have a different atmosphere, and there's 48 competitors in each event, so that's a lot. That makes for a long track meet.
As we tape this, we've already talked to one of your student athletes, Anders Janes, who's a redshirt freshman, experiencing this for the first time. How do you prepare student athletes for an event like this?
Well, we talk about regionals for all the guys that were there while we were at conference, so they can kind of get it in their mind and visualize it. But they know the different levels, and they're all aspiring to go up in levels. We have athletes that are going there, young athletes, trying to get experience. A guy like Anders, he has a bit of a chance to make it to nationals because sometimes usually it takes like 17, 2 3/4. And he hits a perfect jump. He could go that high, but he would probably have to do it without misses, and things would really have to click. the main thing we want to get out of this for him is the experience of realizing, hey, these guys have 2 legs and 2 arms, and they're just like me. And the 12 that are making it to nationals, I can see myself being there. And if you can get that experience as a freshman, you have a really good shot at getting there sometime in the next 3 years. So in the pole vault specifically, I work with those guys, and Taylin and he are both freshmen. So we're really trying to get some good experience. It doesn't mean, God can do anything. And other people have been gotten in when they're seated down there, but it's not something you're majorly disappointed if it doesn't happen. It's a process, and we're on that process, and I think they'll be more motivated next fall for the hard training of the fall, knowing the end goal.
All right, Brent, we appreciate the time. A lot of people pulling for you in your program. Have fun down there.
Thank you. We will.